Because Zimbabwe Mushle Muria Zimbabwe. If you're tuning in right now, Zimbabwe Mushle Muria Zimbabwe. If you're tuning in right now, you're tuned into Live Talk, The Connection, brought to you by Studio 7, Voice of America on Tuesday, August 31, 2021. Muria Zimbabwe, I'm your host, Mike Hove. Once again, Zulu Gandapa Mthwakazo Muhle Muria Zimbabwe. If you're tuning in right now, welcome from wherever you are in the world. Welcome, you are tuned in to Live Talk, The Connection. We're coming to you live from our studios in Washington, D.C. Tonight on The Connection, we continue focusing on the COVID-19 pandemic, coronavirus. The virus are responsible for taking millions of lives across the globe, thousands of lives in Zimbabwe. We focus on Zimbabwe's COVID-19 vaccination program. If you're looking to join us, Muria Zimbabwe, you can call us live on air. The number is +1 202 619 2077. The number again, +1 202 619 2077. For those that are streaming this conversation live on our 3 Facebook pages, Sikona go VOA Shona, VOA Ndebele, Ganyela go VOA Studio 7. Kindly share the program with your networks. Also remember, Muria Zimbabwe, Mthwakazo Muhle Zimbabwe Muhle kufitizela lapha ukubhala ukuthi like, kuthinya phaya phansi like ukuze sibone ukuthi ngempela sisonke like so. Lapha kuhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo libukele ngobunengi benu murukona ochirongwa newandu wenyu. Also feel free to write your comments in the comments section, and we're going to be reading these comments live on air. Without wasting time with Zimbabwe, let us delve into tonight's discussion. First up, an update on COVID-19. Now, according to the most recent information released by the Ministry of Healthcare, Zimbabwe currently has 124,581 confirmed COVID-19 cases, 112,399 recoveries, and 4,416 deaths. To date, 2,552,573 people have taken the COVID-19 vaccine. When we're talking about the amount of people that are fully vaccinated, that's jab 1 and jab 2, 1,619,463 have taken both jabs, are fully vaccinated. Now, whilst on the discussion of coronavirus in Zimbabwe, last week, Honorable Monica Mchangwa in the post-cabinet briefing updated Zimbabwe on the progress the country has made in the fight against the coronavirus and, of course, Zimbabwe's vaccination. Let us head over to a clip of Honorable Monica Mchangwa explaining more. The next clip you're going to watch is courtesy of Open Party ZW.
Given the current vaccination statistics, Cabinet is confident that herd immunity will be achieved by December 2021. The country has already acquired 13 million doses out of the 20 million required in order to achieve herd immunity. On the advice of scientists, the vaccination program will also be extended to the 14 to 17-year age groups. The Ministry of Health and Childcare will employ the following strategies in the rolling out of the vaccination exercise. First, expanding the engagement of the private sector. And secondly, involving churches, universities, and other institutions of higher learning. And third, accelerating outreach campaigns, taking advantage of the integrated, expanded program for immunization. To speed up the vaccination program in Chitungwiza town, where vaccinations have been very low, and also to help alleviate the shortage of health personnel in Chitungwiza, the Chitungwiza municipality nursing staff has since been transferred to the part of the Ministry of Health and Childcare establishment. Vaccinations in border towns, hotspots, and people's markets is ongoing, with the targeted population fully vaccinated, save for those at Renkin, Stanley Hall, and Mtapa Market in Bulawayo and Gweru, respectively.
Well, Muria Zimbabwe, that was Honorable Monica Mchangwa updating the nation last week on Zimbabwe's fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Now, one of the things we're looking to delve into is what she talked about earlier on, where she said the 14 to 17 age group are now going to be eligible to take the COVID-19 vaccine. To help us better understand how things are going in Zimbabwe, we're joined by medical expert Dr. Tinotenda Smemeza, a friend of the show. He's joining us live via Skype from Harare. Dr. Smemeza, welcome to the program, but how are you doing?
How are you doing, Mike? I'm doing well.
Uh,
How's it your end?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. It's been quite the minute. You look good. I'm glad you're here with us. Let's delve into it, man. COVID-19, the reason we usually have you here. What is your take on everything happening in Zimbabwe? We see the numbers sometimes go up, sometimes going down, lockdown up, lockdown down. What is your take?
I think we are just getting out of our third wave. We're experiencing our third wave last month, with the number of cases and admissions really high. But it seems now we are getting out of the wave, and we need to continue vaccinating such that we won't experience another terrible wave if it is to come.
Now, I'm looking at the discrepancies, the difference between people that are fully vaccinated and people that have taken the first jab in Zimbabwe. We're seeing the differences of just about 1 million, if I'm correct. Um, as a medical expert, what's your take on that in terms of the amount of people that are fully vaccinated versus the amount that have taken the first jab? And of course, bearing in mind what Honorable Mchangwa mentioned last week, where she said they're still hoping that Zimbabwe will hit herd immunity, which means 10 million people by December. What's your take?
I think my take is we've been seeing that a lot of people have been getting their first dose, especially when the third wave started hitting. People started taking their first dose. So the discrepancy might be just there's still a delay, or there's still a couple of weeks that needs for people to get their second dose. So that discrepancy might be there. And also, it might be people who have been lost to follow up, or who haven't come to receive their second dose. And people are just being encouraged to get their second dose, despite if they've delayed or not. And this might be due to a lot of reasons, like lockdown, like people being locked down in certain cities and couldn't travel and so forth. So I think people should be encouraged to get their second dose in a timely manner, such that they become fully vaccinated against the coronavirus.
Now, Doc, you was on the discussion of the vaccination. Of course, the big reason why we have you here, 14 to 17, the age group is now eligible to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Could you tell us a little more about that as a medical expert? What's your take on that?
I think this was a decision that was made in particular due to how COVID was being transmitted at schools. We saw that schools were epicenters of transmission of the COVID-19 virus. And studies have shown that the vaccine is safe in that age group as well. And also getting vaccinated not only protects you, but also protects others. So I think the extension to that age group is to limit the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, and also protect those that are going to schools.
Now, considering the fact that this group has now been added, do you think this will help Zimbabwe in terms of hitting that 10 million herd immunity goal quicker?
Well, statistically, you realize that Zimbabwe is mostly young population. So hitting that 10 million mark will also need young people. And to be honest, vaccination will protect against you getting severe disease, and also reduce spread in the virus. So although the young age is not a particular risk of getting severe disease because of their age, their physiology, will realize that this will just help in terms of lowering the temperature, not particularly severe disease because they are not severe.
Now, Dr. Simemeza, considering the fact that we now 14 to 17, these are all minors, how would this procedure then go? Does this mean they need parental guidance? How is this going to work?
So I think, like all things in medicine, everything should have informed consent. The patient should get full explanation of what they are receiving and why they are receiving it, and they should consent to the particular procedure. So I think no difference between that and vaccination. People need to get full consent. Their minors, parents need to be informed that the children have, like what the minister announced, that we'll be extending the vaccination program that age group. So it's best practice in medicine to always have informed consent. No one is coerced to get the jab without them consenting to it.
Ngatimbobatai nyaya nerurimi rwamai tisati taendera mberi nehurukuro yedu Dr. Simemeza. Totanga nenhamba yevanhu vati vabayiwa nhomba iyi yeCovid-19. Tiri kuona pari zvino vanhu vakabayiwa jeb yekutanga munyika vatodarika 2,600,000. Asi vachiri vakabayiwa nhomba yekutanga yatinoti nechirungu first jab vari pasi pe1,500,000. Senyanzvi munyaya dzeutano munozvitambira sei izvi tichiona kuti hurumende last week vakaannounsa vachiti aiwa nyaya yekuda kuti Zimbabwe isvike kapa herd immunity vachirikuda kuti Zimbabwe isvike mugore rino muna December pave nevanhu 10 million vati vabayiwa nhomba iyi vari fully vaccinated. Munozvionawo sei izvi senyanzvi munyaya dzeutano?
Zvinhu zvatiri kukurudzira kuti vanhu vavaccinate zvinova izvo zviri zvakanaka kuti nhomba dziri kuuya dzakati wandei kuti tikwanise kusvika manhamba atiri kutarisira. Uyezve nyaya yekuti pane 2 million then there's a million difference inyaya yekuti vanhu pakaitika third wave yedu yanga chitei in the last couple of months vanhu vakawanda vakabva vati hari zveshuwa regai tiite tivaccinate nenyaya yekuinformation yanga ichifamba vanhu vachiudzwa kuti zvakakosha kuti vanhu vavaccinate. Saka difference yemanhamba inongova iyo pamwe inyaya yekuti vanhu vachiri in the process of the timeline of getting their second jab. Saka manumbers difference inenge but also tinoziva kuti kune vamwe vanhu vanenge vasina kuzodzoka kuzotora nhomba yavo yekufully vaccinated. Saka manumbers wawanda kune vamwe vasati vabayiwa vaite fully vaccinated. Zvinova izvo zvatiri kukurudzira kuti munhu wese kana wakambobayiwa udzoke wobayiwa nhomba yechipiri so that uite fully vaccinated.
Ko panyaya yekuti pahurumende last week vakaannounsa vachiti vechidiki vari pasi pemakore 18 pakati pe13 ne17 navo vakuwana mukana wekubayiwa nhomba iyi yeCovid-19. Senyanzvi munyaya dzeutano munozvitambira sei izvi?
Zvanga tichitaura kuti from zvataiona I think takambokurukura nezvazvo kuti muzvikoro kuwanikwa muri izvo iri epicenter yekuti corona ive ichipararira. Saka izvi zvinhu zvatinoona kuti vari kuextenda kuti vana vari vezvikoro vabayiwe nepanhau yekuti kuzvikoro uku ndo kwanga kuchiwanikwa kuri maepicenter ekuspreada coronavirus. Saka nhomba inokubetsera iwewe kufighta disease. Painenge ichikubetsera kufighta disease inobetserawo futi kuti usaspreade chirwere maningi. Saka izvi zvinova izvo ndo zviri kuitwa kuitira kuti chirwere ichi chisanyanya kupararira maningi even.
All right, Dr. Simemeza, let me hold you on the line there. I hear I have a caller who's joining us live, Parunare. Let's take the caller and hear what they have to say. Caller mtereri ngiyakwamukela kuhlelo tinomkamchira mchirongwa ari Parunare ndiani?
Nyasha takaende
mkoma Nyasha zviri kufamba
zviri kufamba zvokuti
muri kutondera muri kupi? Handisi kukunzwai zvakanaka. Could you please raise your voice a little bit, mkoma Nyasha?
Ndiri kufona ndiri Mpumalanga, South Africa.
Kuri seiko kuMpumalanga kuSouth Africa uko?
Kuri nani
ko kuSouth Africa utiri kunzwa kuti vechidiki navo vakubayiwa nhomba yeCovid-19 mati mabayiwa here?
Tisati asi tiri kutarisira kuti chirongwa.
Zvino kuZimbabwe tiri kunzwa kuti vechidiki navo 13 to 17 hanzi kwai vakubvumidzwa kubayiwa nhomba iyi. Sechizvarwa cheZimbabwe munozvitambira sei izvi?
Tinoona sechirongwa chakanaka fani. Sezvo mavhaccine aya kubva nakare nakare vana vanongobayiwa saka hationi paine chakaipa chinova chinaka chingavandudza kuti vanhu vagopota vachiita mabasa avo avafanirwa kuita tina malokdown aya ari kuwanda.
Ko tanzwa ma-input yaDr Simemeza wanga achiti hanzi nemaondro avo vari kuonaka kuti zvichabatsira munyaya yekuti muchiri kurangarira last year muzvikoro umo chirwere cheCovid-19 chachitekeshera zvakanyanya. Zvino vari kuti vana vechidiki vakabayiwa hanzi zvichabatsira. Imi munozvionawo seizvi?
Ichokwadi chaizvo ichocho inobatsira zvakanyanya kudzivirira chirwere nekuti tinonzwa kuti inodzivirira kuti usazova nemakaushi kana kurwara zvakanyanya zvange zvazowarwara nayo koti saka zvinobatsira
network yenyu inenge iri kudonha, iri kupinda ichidonha ichiuya ichidonha mukoma. Ndachikumbira kuti mudzokorera zvamava muchitaura.
Nokuti zvinobatsira vana vabereki uyezve nevemuzvipatara umu unoona ma-working conditions edu emuzvipatara anova akaita zvinobatsira zvakare nekuti vanhu vanotapukira vanenge vachiita kuadha.
Alright, mukoma ndachikumbira kuti mukande mashoko enyu ekupedzisira kana muine mubvunzo wokubvunza kuna Dr Simemeza kandai henyu mubvunzo kana kuti kandai mashoko ekupedzisira.
Vanokwanisa kunge vachitora iyoyi.
Aiwa, muri Zimbabwe, you were hearing there from umlaleli tinotenda zvikurusa Mr Nyasha. Thank you so much for joining us. Zulukandaba liyamuzwa umlaleli ongenayo. He's calling us live from Mpumalanga kwele South Africa. Uyasho ngempela besimbuzo okunengi ngohlelo lukahulumende lokuhlaba abantu ijekiseni elivikela iCovid-19. Uyasho ngempela ukuthi hayi yena njengesalane seZimbabwe esiphila kwele South Africa ubona ngani kuyinto enhle, kuyinto okumele siyithakazelele njengelizwe ukubona ukuthi abantu abasakhulayo 14 to 17 labo sebengahlatshwa leli jekiseni. Uthi hayi kulakho ukusiza eleZimbabwe nxa sesikhangela indaba le eyokuthi eleZimbabwe lisalwisana ngaleli gcikwane le-coronavirus elizweni. Ngenani kuhlelo Zulukandaba lesitshela umbono wenu +1 202 619 2077 is the number to call. Yilo udaba esilalo namhlanje kuhlelo we're focusing on indaba le coronavirus. But now muri Zimbabwe, before we head over to Dr. Simemeza, I want to move on to another package that we have that is showcasing more about what's happening in other African countries. So I want to head over to a report that was recently done by VOA, which showcases how other African countries are tackling the COVID-19 vaccination program. Let us head over to a report which we have, which shows how things are going in Kenya. And when we come back, we're going to hear more from Dr. Simemeza. He's going to tell us whether or not there's anything Zimbabwe can learn from other countries such as Kenya. Let's take a look.
At a bus terminal in Nairobi, Kenya, hundreds of people wait to get vaccinated. It's an exercise that has saved them long-distance travel to the designated vaccination centers. Walter Juma, a public bus conductor, is getting ready to receive his first COVID-19 jab. He says because of the demanding nature of his job, he could not find the time to go for vaccination at the health facilities.
The vaccination is now near my place of work and home. This has helped a lot. There are other people who cannot walk for long, the elderly, and some are sick.
Health officials say the number of people turning up for their vaccinations has doubled since more inoculation sites opened a month ago.
We've decided to come to the community because usually we give Monday to Friday in our public health facilities. But you find most people don't have time to come Monday to Friday. So we decided to come to the community so that we increase accessibility to the vaccine.
Kenya is receiving more vaccine doses from the US government. In other nations, so the supply is much better than during the first phase of the vaccination program. With its new vaccination strategy, Kenyan authorities are hoping to vaccinate at least 10 million people by the end of the year.
We are now using about 800 centers, and we are going to gradually increase this to 3,000 centers by December. Increasing them means you are reaching people. You are opening vaccination center closer to where people are.
So far, 2.5 million people have received the first dose of the vaccine in Kenya. Victoria Amunga for VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, Muri Zimbabwe, you're hearing there kwenzakalayo kwele Kenya. Victoria Amunga, shout out to her from VOA News, kwele Kenya. Let's head over back to our guest who's joining us live via Skype from Harare, Dr. Tinotenda Smemeza. Doc, so let's continue nenyaya tinayo tukona kuti zvaro zveZimbabwe zviri kugara munyika dzakasiyana siyana nawo vari kufara nechirongwa ichi chekuti vechidiki vabaiwewo. Now, I recently played a clip of what's happening in Kenya, whereby they seem to be taking the vaccine to the people. What do you think we can learn as a nation when we look at such programs?
I think I commend that program, and I really think it's a really incredible strategy. So I think just to say this before I talk about that, vaccine will aid in the health against coronavirus, but we are not neglecting all those other procedures that we talked about: social distancing, sanitizing, and wearing of masks. So all these things work together in terms of preventing the rampant spread of COVID-19. So even though as people are getting vaccinated, we should always continue talking about the same principles that we've been talking about all this time. To say vaccination is not removing these principles, but we should continue adhering to it up until we achieve herd immunity and stop the infective process. So it's actually good that people, medical professionals in Kenya, actually going into the community and vaccinating people there, because this is where the people are, and also it will stop people from gathering and also having long queues and spending long hours waiting to get the jab, which can also promote the spread of the disease. So it's actually getting into the community and where people are and actually getting them vaccinated there. We've seen the same program being done for children, whereby nurses go into the community vaccinating children even in Zim. So I think something that is possible and something that can be easy.
Now, focusing on, of course, because I was thinking about this particular program, especially in places like the rural areas where people are constantly going at the fact that a lot of vaccination centers are not really close to them. Do you not think such a program would be very, very helpful, especially in Zimbabwe's rural areas?
It will be extremely helpful, especially in our rural areas where some of the health centers are pretty far from the people. So it would be good that vaccination just goes to the people, where the people stay, and also as they, if you go to where the people are, they will encourage each other to get vaccinated, and everyone will get vaccinated. So it would be good to get to those communities.
Dr. Smemeza, ngatichipeta hedu hurukuro yedu yanhasi ndikuda kuzeyawo zvekare just as a roundup for vateereri vedu modzokerawo muvatsananguriro kuti nemaondero enyu mungati chinhu chakanaka here kuona kuti vechidiki navo nekuti ndamboverenga comment yeumwewo muteereri anga achinyora pafacebook achiti hanzi vakumhanya kune vechidiki 13 to 17 asi havasati vapedza nevechikuru ava. Saka nemaondero enyu mungati zvingabatsira here yatingati fight yeZimbabwe mukurwisana nedenda iri reCOVID-19?
Yeah, I would always say those who are at risk should get vaccinated, and there should always be a priority because they are the ones who might suffer from severe disease. But also, this going to the younger population is to also curb the spread of the disease, because these young people are in constant contact with the elderly people and those that are teaching them, the teachers, the parents, the grandparents, and so forth. So it's not a totally bad idea for the young population to be vaccinated, although all priority should always be given to those who are most vulnerable. But this will actually help in terms of curbing the spread of the disease to those who are vulnerable. So it's good that people get vaccinated so as to protect those that are vulnerable to the condition and have this, the spread of the disease. So it's not totally a bad idea, but also, as always, as we have talked about multiple times, priorities to those that are mostly at risk. They need to get the jab as soon as possible before they contract the virus.
Now, in closing, what would you have to say to a parent? Because, of course, there's still a lot of skepticism around the vaccine. So now, if this age group, specifically 13 to 17, need parental guidance or parental consent to take the vaccine, what would you then say to a parent who still feels as though, it's still not 100% clear, and then what would you say to them?
I would say to everyone, doubt is a natural thing, whereby you have to seek answers, and we should always be looking for answers and get the facts right and get an informed decision when these things happen. So taona kuti vaccine is safe for vana 14 to 17 years old, and it has been tried. So I would encourage, vaccine technology has been there for hundreds of years, and people need not to worry much. But also, it's good that people get their facts right, especially from my sources are honest and truthful. But I would encourage people not to worry much, as it was the first step when administering a drug or a vaccine is to make sure it is safe, and to make sure that it's efficacious, that it works. So as long as the vaccine is considered safe and it has been approved by WHO, I would say it's fine. We should go ahead. They should get their research from sites that are truthful and honest.
Well, Dr. Smemeza, thank you so much. In closing.
Ndakachida kungokurudzira kuti vaccination hazvireve kuti kana wavaccinatwa corona yapera. Tiri kuda kutraya kuti vanhu vakawanda vavaccinate kese tokwanisa kufaita chirwere ichi. Saka tinofanira kukontinya tichishandisa mamaski edu, tichisanitizer up until yazosvika nguva yekuti we are out of danger from the COVID-19 pandemic. So I would encourage people to follow all those steps that we've been following and make sure those who are most vulnerable, muripenyu, vawane nhomba nekuchimbidza kuitira kuti vaite fully vaccinated before ta-experience imwe wave kukwanisa tiparadza.
Well, thank you so much, Muri Zimbabwe. Dr. Smemeza, tinotenda zvikuru nemashoko enyu uyezve nekutorawo nguva muchiva nesu pano pachirongwa chedu chevechidiki. As usual, we really appreciate your input. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always a pleasure being part of.
Right, well, Muri Zimbabwe, that was Dr. Tinotenda Smemeza. Ubechasisa ngempela ingcwethi kwezempilakahle, ubechasisa umbono wakhe nalokho kwenzakalayo elizweni. Uthi hayi uhulumende wakwe Zimbabwe uyamshayela ihlombe, uthi yena ubona ngani uhulumende uyasebenza gadalala. Last week sizwe uHonorable Monica Mchangwa, umphathi ntambo obona uMinister of Information sithi hayi eleZimbabwe seliqhakathekisa lolu hlelo lokuhlaba abantu Jackson. The goal is to ukuthi abantu abayi 10 million bahlatshwe leli Jackson by December ekupheleni kwalomnyaka, ekupheleni kwa 2021. So yena uDr. Smemeza uthi hayi eleZimbabwe lingaqhubekela phambili ngalolu hlelo, the way that it's going, hayi balakho ukufika abantu 10 million asebehlatshwe leli Jackson. Uphinde wathi hayi yena ngombono wakhe kuyinto enhle ukuthi uhulumende usezama la ukuqhakathekisa abantu abasakhulayo 14 to 17 labo sebengahlatshwa leli Jackson elivikela i-COVID-19. Asibone ukuthi abantu bathini singakaqhubekele phambili ngalolu hlelo. Just to read a couple of comments before we continue with our conversation. Muri Zimbabwe, as I mentioned earlier on, mukanyora comments enyu pa VOA Shona, VOA Independent pa VOA Studio 7. We're going to be reading your comments. Boas Jaya Kuru Argunyora pa VOA Shona, watching you from Gaborone now, Botswana. Thank you, Boas Jaya Kuru, for joining us. Upoas Upindo Wati, people of Zimbabwe must go and get vaccinated. I want to know Zukuru sa. Niz Zerti saying hi, watching you from Harare. Thank you, Niz, for joining us. Richard Moyonda Mboveringa comment mukanzwa mindro ya Dr. Smemeza asi comment yawe iri kuti kwakuru apera ere vamhanya kuva navadiki vane makore 14 kusvika 17 avo vazhinji vasati vapera avo manzwa maondro aDr. Tinotenda Smemeza. Niz ati hanzi kubva kare we were vaccinated against polio, cholera, etc. zvozosvamisa pa COVID-19 here. Let's be positive minded, not kuzoyeuka bako tanaiwa. Aiwa tinotenda zvikurusa nemacomments enyu Zulugandaba. We're going to be reading more comments as we continue uhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo lingakhohlwi. +1 202619 is 077 is the number to call. Now Muri Zimbabwe, as we continue our conversation, earlier on you heard me talking to Dr. Smemeza about the COVID-19 vaccine, but now the frequently asked question is whether or not these vaccines are safe. Let us head over to an explainer done by the World Health Organization, which tells us more about whether or not vaccines are safe. Well, as Zulugandaba, that was an explainer by World Health Organization on whether or not vaccines are safe. World Health Organization is basically supporting Ogushiwo Dr. Tinotenda Smemeza, basically hi hambani liyohlatshwa. Whilst on the discussion of COVID-19 in Zimbabwe, Muri Zimbabwe schools izikolo zvakavhurwa nezuro izikolo zivuliwe izikolo zikahulumende, they all opened for examination classes, a move which has been met with resistance by some teachers, organizations, some parents, and of course some students. The reason being that they feel as though schools were not ready to be opened, and of course parents, teachers, and the students themselves needed a little more time to ensure that they are ready for these examinations and of course prepared for in-person classes. Nonetheless, government assured citizens that Zimbabwean schools are safe and they're COVID-19 free. To hear more, we reached out to the Director of Communications under the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, Mr. Taungona Ndoro. Let's hear what Mr. Ndoro had to say.
Zvikoro zvakagadzirira kuti zvivhurwe takaisa zvese zvinofanirwa kunge zviripo kudzivirira kupararira kweutachiona hweCovid-19. Tinenge tinawo masanitizers edu, mvura inenge iripo, sipo, social distancing, taane madeski ekuti vana vanogara vari 1-1 pane kuti vagare vari 3-3. Tine mathermometer atinoskrinisa vanhu vanosvika pagedhi vatinongoona kuti uyu kuda pamwe anenge ari kuti ane masymptoms kana kuti ari kuratidza kuti kuda ane kurwara kwaari kuita, tinomuisa pane yatinoti holding bay, tosheedza bazi rezveutano. Saka takagadzirira zvedu, uye vabereki ngavasanyanya kushungurudzika zvako kuti kuda kuchazopararira COVID-19 muzvikoro. Takagadzirira bazi reprimary nesecondary education parakabuditsa kalendari yechikoro kwakawedzerwa mazuva 20 ndo mazuva anofanirwa kubhadharwa nevabereki zvichishandisa fees dzinenge dzakabvumidzwa nebazi kunzi ndo dzinenge dziri dzechikoro ichocho.
Well, Muri Zimbabwe, that was Mnumzana Utaungana Ndoro assuring the parents abazali lababalisi labafundi ukuthi hayi yena uthi uhulumende has made sure ukuthi izikolo COVID-19 are safe and they are ready for teaching and in-person classes. But now Muri Zimbabwe were joined by our third guest, well, his second guest for tonight. Who's joining us. He is also a student himself, but he focuses more on higher learning institutions, Iskola, Ama universities, and etc. Labo, they also face their fair share of challenges. Let's hear what he has to say. Mnumzana, Mr. Welcome to the program. Hello, Joseph. Welcome to the program, Joseph. Are you on the line?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ah, perfect. Right, Muria Zimbabwe. Joining us is Mr. Joseph Nyamaro. He's a student himself. As I mentioned, he focuses more on higher learning institutions. They too have been affected by COVID-19. Now, Joseph, let's delve into it, man. Let's start off with how COVID-19 has affected students themselves, especially those in higher learning institutions. How has COVID-19 affected you guys?
Okay, thank you very much. I think the COVID-19 is made that effect on the learners, especially the learners in higher education. Because the COVID-19 is forced the students in higher education to sit back home and start to focus on the but we are now focusing in a country like Zimbabwe, which makes a lot of face to the internet connectivity, ICT gadgets, and many resources which are needed to propel the distant learning. Mm-hmm. So the learners with higher tertiary education have been affected a lot by the pandemic. But as we have seen that the country is trying to achieve a head immunity so that we can be back at school. But at the end of the day, it has posed a lot of threats, and it has posed a lot of questions in the student fraternity because of the question of we feel that the higher tertiary education should have invested a lot of more money in dissemination of information because we know that the vaccines are safe, but the current of safety or the current of making sure that the student fraternity get vaccinated and we go back to the normal is investing in information dissemination. So we feel that they have been lacking in that part.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to talk a little more about the vaccines, and I'm glad that you touched on that. I'm seeing some institutions of higher learning, just like some companies, just like some government organizations, are insisting that if you have not taken the COVID-19 jab, you do not report to school, which means some of you guys are actually incapable, are not going to be able to write their exams merely because you have not taken the COVID-19 jab. What's your take on that?
Okay, my comment concerning that, it's a worrisome situation because we have seen in almost every province the state universities or the institutions of learning, they are requiring a vaccination card for someone to sit for exam. And imagine the time that it takes for the first and second jab to get for you to get a first and second jab. And you need to sit in exam in the next 2 weeks. So it means that you are already on the deferring mode. It means that they are already pushing the learners out of school. So it's a worrisome situation, and it has affected a lot of students. The students were already affected by the events happening in the country, and furthering that, they are now being exposed to another pandemic or an emotional pandemic of not being allowed in the examination room or in the place of learning.
Mm-hmm. But Mr. Nyamaro, let me ask you this. What would you then say to those that feel as though they stand by not just government, not just the schools, but these companies that are doing that because they feel as though the number one right beyond any right or any human right is the right to life? And so they feel as though that by ensuring that nobody in this space or nobody in this area has not taken the COVID-19 vaccine, they're actually prioritizing their safety and their lives. What would you then say to someone who has that mindset? I'm saying, what would you then say to someone whose mindset is that all these institutions, all these organizations that are saying if you have not taken the COVID-19 vaccine, you cannot report to work or you cannot report to school? For those that stand by these individuals and say that they feel as though they are preserving their right to life, what would you say to the people who have that mindset?
Okay, there is something called the majoritarian rule, whereby the majority rule, like it's ruled. But at the end of the day, we have to look at, say, because we have a situation whereby the person A will be saying that if you coming to school or you coming to access the service closer to me, you are endangering me, you are putting my health at risk. You know, that's the first situation. But there is a second situation to say the one who thinks that by vaccination, there is a lot of infringement of his rights. You know, both of them in their own perspective, they are right. That's why I said the government and the education sector was supposed to invest money in making sure that they demystify the myths that exist in many people. Because student A will be right or will be okay to say you are infringing my rights by coming to school without a jab. But however, student B will be also right to say that I need to access the services because I have paid my money, and possibly I have managed to get the first jab. So it's now a question of the rule of law versus the rule of law, the government law, and versus what should have been done. What should have been done prior to this situation? Because people, they just don't wake up saying, we don't need this, we don't need this. It needs proper dissemination on information.
All right, Joseph, please hold on the line. Muri Zimbabwe, kuhlelo liyamuzwa osakhulayo isifundi uJoseph Uyathai yena akathabanga njengomfundi ngenxa yokuthi kulezinye izikolo zangaphezulu ama-universities athi nxa ungakathathi leli jekiseni elivikela i-COVID-19 kusho ukuthi hayi ithuba lokuthi ubhale phela imihloliso yakho hayi ngeke uyenelise ukubhala until usuhlatshiwe leli jekiseni uthi hayi lokhu khanya ngani sekuphambanise impilo zabafundi abaningi elizweni. Joseph, stay on the line for 1 second and we're going to come back to you shortly. Muri Zimbabwe, I want to head over to our 6th package that we're going to be running for today, where I spoke to another student himself, Mr. Pijues Namburo. He is the president of Zikosu. Last night I caught up with him and we spoke more about whether or not they as students or they as the Zimbabwe Congress of Students Union are embracing some of these notions that are coming from government. Let's hear what PG West had to say.
Zimbabwe, like other African countries, is trying at first the reopening of schools after closing in March due to COVID-19. But many teachers like Mnyaradzi Masiwa.
That was a slight report that we're going to play later on by Columbus Mavunga. But whilst we try pull up PG West's package, the interview I had with him, let me bring back Joseph. Joseph, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still there.
All right. The package we're going to play was basically a student who, like I mentioned earlier on, is actually standing by some of these notions, and they feel as though it's very important that everybody embrace this COVID-19 vaccine. But now, let's move aside from that and focus more on how this is now affecting your lives. So, for example, if you're a student and you don't get to write your exams, what does this mean?
Come on, sorry. I didn't hear the last part.
I'm saying I want to move past just the focus on the vaccine, but in circumstances whereby you guys as students do not get to sit your exam because you have not taken the COVID-19 vaccine, how does this affect your studies? Joseph, are you still on the line?
My network is kind of tripping. I need to. What are you saying? You were saying about the students not taking the vaccine.
Right. I'm saying so in circumstances whereby you cannot sit your exam because you have not taken the vaccine, how does this affect your studies?
Well, it has many bad, if not worse, effects towards the learner. Because if I'm not able to access my exam for this semester, it means that one, the life is delayed, the time is delayed. It's a crisis on the part of the student. because when you are delayed because of any reason, whether it's good or bad, it means that there are certain ways when time is money. It means that one, you have lost a valuable chunk of your time, you have lost a valuable time of your money, you have lost an opportunity to go forward, you have lost an opportunity then to enter into the economic world. Because we realize that most of the jobs, they need someone who have completed the examination. And the students, some of the students are due for attachment, some of the students they need to graduate. So these exams are very critical to their life. They are very critical to their wealth and the welfare of the community in which they came from. So by not going into the exam room, it means that we have disturbed the welfare of the people back home. We have disturbed the welfare of the community, the nation, in the world as much.
Right. Are you still there? You seem to have cut off.
Hello?
Okay, please go ahead and continue. You seem to have cut off.
Sorry?
I'm saying before you completed your sentence, you seem to have cut off. Could you kindly continue?
The network is playing weak. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's try get you back. I'm going to ask my producer to hang up with you and then try call you back. Hopefully the network will be better when we have you back. But Muria Zimbabwe, whilst we try get Joseph back, let's see if we can try pull that package up. As I mentioned, this was supposed to be the 6th package of our nights tonight, whereby okay, it seems as though we're having a technological issue. So let's take a look at what Abantu are saying ekhasini lethu Facebook whilst we try get Joseph back. Now, kukhasi lethu ele-VOA Indebele ngiyabona ukuthi abantu bakhona nangu Englam uyabuza ukuthi unjani Mike ngibuze lapha kanti thina eseBotswana esingela maphepha akwaneleyo siyavunyelwa ukuhlatshwa ivaccine na yebo liyavunyelwa mnumzana Hart okuqhakathekileyo ukuthi bathi uhulumeni wakwele Botswana just like every country across the whole globe is saying ukuthi wonke umuntu ulalo ilungelo lokuhlatshwa kumele uyobhalisa kuphela so isithupha sakho i-passport or whatever identification document you have is what you would use ukubhalisela ukuyohlatshwa. Nangu Tishana wona Ndebele uyathi yes siyabonga Tishana ngokungena kuhlelo. Richard Moyo uthi 14 to 17 years uphindo wabhala inombolo zocingo ukuthi simthinte. Siyabonga mnumzana ngokungena kuhlelo. Asibona ukuthi abantu bathini kukhasi lethu ele-VOA Shona whilst we try get Joseph up and of course bring our other guest also Usugo Luhle who is an educator. She's also going to be giving her input on what's happening gwele Zimbabwe. Kukhasi lethu ele-VOA Shona kusaphuma lapha Zulukandaba kodwa lingakhohlwa ukuthi lani lilakho ukusishayela ucingo. You can call us live on air +1 202 619 2077 is the number to call if you're looking to join us. Kukhasi lethu ele-VOA Shona ngiyabona ukuthi abantu ngiyezwa ngempela ukuthi imishina yethu iyasebenza. I hear our technology is back up. So now before we head back to Joseph when we get him back on the line, I want to head to a conversation that I had last night with another student, Mr. Pijos Namburo, who is the president of the Zimbabwe Congress of Students Union. Let's hear what Pijos had to say about the coronavirus situation and how it's affecting students.
Tinotenda mkoma isu takamirira Zimbabwe Congress of Students Union chimiririra vana vari muzvikoro zvepamusoro. Tinoti chirwere COVID-19 dambudziko redziwa mupengo raunza matambudziko vakawanda chaizvo mukati mezvekudzidza umu. Taona hwaro hwekudzidza hwange huchikanganisika pakati pesapa, vana vachimbovhara vachivhura vombomiswa zviwodaro. Zvinova zvinhu zvakanganisa nzira yokufunda yatanga tagara tinayo. Hatichakwanisa kuwana mukana wokusangana nevaraidzi vedu misi nenguva tichisangana tichiudzwa tichidzidzawo zvakanako. Mapracticals anoitwawo akwanisa kunge achikanganisika zvekare uye zvikoro zvacho zvabva zvatadza kuva nesimba kana kuti mari chaiyo yekuti vange vachifanda maactivities aya zvaita kuti vana tizinge taakudzidza online yatakuti online learning and yatinoti isusu zvazokanganisa the quality, zvinokanganisa quality yemadegrees. Taona vana vakawanda vange vachimiswa kunyora mabvunzo dzavo and izvi zvinhu zvinokanganisa kuti vange vachifanira kupedza gore rino vakanganisika, vange vachifanira kunge vakuendawo pachidanho chepamberiwo kuti vange vachiendera kunanavira kuti vange vachipedza dzidzo dzavo zvakanganisika.
PGS, pane zvimwewo zvikoro zvepamusoro-soro munyika zviri kukurudzira vadzidzi pamwe chete nevarayiridzi kuti vabayiwe nhomba yeCovid-19 vachivaudza kuti kana vasati vabayiwa nhomba iyi yeCovid-19 vasauye kuchikoro. Vadzidzi kune vamwe vasiri kuwana mukana wekuti vanyore bvunzo dzavo nekuti havasati vabayiwa nhomba iyi yeCovid-19. Sevadzidzi muri kuzvionawo sei? Mashoko aya munomatambira sei?
Isusu vadzidzi chakakosha upenyu hwangu ini nehwaiwe murayiridzi wangu. Saka isu tinotora nyaya iyi iri nyaya yawo ichiri chidanho chekuti vanhu vange vachibayiwa kuti vange vachidzivirirwa kuchirwere chakaipa ichi, sokuti chinotapukira kunyangwe anenge abayiwa neasina wacho. Saka chini chirwere hachisarudzi kuti uyu wabayiwa uyu hauna. Saka chakanaka kuzvidzivirira. Muchirungu ndo yavanoti prevention is better than cure. Saka kuzvidzivirira uko kwakanaka. Tinoti iri chidanho chakanaka, hazvinai kuipa, asi tiri kuti uyu anenge atiwo haasi kuda kubayiwa, tinoti ngaachiregera kuti akabayiwa wacho azinge achitapukirwa nechirwere achine utachiona hwechirwere chedzihwa mupengo ichi. Saka toti kunavo vakabayiwa aiwa ngavasanganidzwawo nekudzidza kwavo chikoro chienderere mberi sokuti vagoona kuzvidzivirira. Asi avo vasina kubayiwa ndo vatiri kuti aiwa kahama dzadiwa chiendai munobayiwawo kuti mugone kuraramawo zvakanaka.
Tichipeta hurukuro yedu mukoma PGS, ndachikumbira kuti mutiudzewo maondero enyu nezvematanho ari kutorwa nehurumende mukubatsira vadzidzi panguva iyo denda reCovid-19 roendera mberi richitekeshera munyika.
Ya, zvakawanda zvinoitwa nehurumende mukuzama kubatsira vana vari kuzvikoro. Gurukota guru resocial welfare vamavhima vakaburitsawo zvikafu zvavakapa zvakaenda kunzvimbo dzakatsaukana dzenyika kubatsira vana vanoshayawo. Tichikurudzirawo vana muzvinabhizimisi vanozviitira vane mabasa avo. Vana vari kuzvikoro kuvanhu vanotambirawo uye vanodawo rubatsiro. Tine vana vakarasikirwa nevabereki vakawanda zvikuru kuburikidza kudenda iri. Vamwe vacho havachakwanisa kunge vachiwana kana dziri mari dzekuenda kuchikoro. Vamwe vari kuwana mari dzekuchikoro but vari kuzoshayawo mari dzekuwana chokudya vari muzvikoro. Saka tinokurudzirawo futi kuti vana muzvinabhizimusi vange vachipindirawo vachibatsira mhuri dzakatsaukana dziri munzvimbo dzakasiyana dzechikoro, nzvimbo dzokufundira kuti vange vachibatsirika. Zvetinoda kutenda vaminista vamurwira vedu vakaparura chirongwa chemaloan scheme ari kubatsira kuna ava vasati vatanga kuwana mari aiwa mari dziriko vanoenda kumabhanga eCBZ kuti vange vachinowana mari nekuti yakaiswa nehurumende. Kunyange veministry of health toda kuvatenda sekuti taona muzvikoro zvakati tsaukanei zvenyika vana vari kubayiwa vakaisa macenters vaccination centers kuti vana vange vachikwanisa kunge vachiwana kubatsirika.
Well, Muria Zimbabwe, you're hearing there from PGS Namburo, who is the president of Zikosu. Ubekhuluma phela umbono wakhe yena njengomfundi. As we wrap up, Zulugandaba, sokusele just under 7 minutes kuhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo. Let's see if we still have Joseph on the line so we can wrap up our program. Joseph, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, now we can hear you clearly. So let's wrap up our conversation here in a couple of minutes. Has government done anything to assist you guys as students? We hear PGS saying they thank Mr. Murwira himself, who has gone out of his way to help you guys. Have you guys seen anything?
Well, I think there are many. Maybe they are seeing something, but the bulk of the students, they haven't seen something. Maybe it's yet to come. But when it comes, we embrace it with two hands. But as for now, the normal students from a normal state university haven't seen it. Maybe it's the privilege for the students.
And what kind of assistance would you guys like as students? Because that's one thing we need to understand what kind of aid you would need.
Okay, concerning this, I think the most thing that I've been talking all along was the investment in information dissemination. Because as people who are from the higher education, it shouldn't be hard for people to get a job. But it seems that something is lacking, so they should invest in mass education of the people in tertiary institutions. One. The second thing is that I think because of the COVID-19, because of the reason that people have been forced to retreat home, people have been forced to be learning at home. So we need, I think, and the bundles and the data connectivity is something that is sketchy. So for the cost of education to remain at what it was before we were born, I think that they need to invest in, or to subsidize the data bundles one to provide the ICT materials, because we find in the higher tertiary education there are people without the gadgets which will enable them to have access to online learning. So they are able to understand. So we need subsidy in online learning data bundles. We also need a reduction in fees, because the COVID-19 effects have affected a lot of people, have affected a lot of parents, have affected a lot of students who pay for their life, who pay for their food. So we need a decrease in fees, subsidy in our fees. It means that we removing a bottlenecking system that is currently in the higher education.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joseph. Do you have any last sentiments that you'd like to echo before we move over?
I think I'll just say my last words. My last words have to go with the youth, the young at heart, and the young alike. I would like to say, irrespective of the command vaccination which is being preached everywhere, we need to be vaccinated for us to be safe in the land of the living. Yeah, everyone should get a jab. It's safer that way, and we don't need someone to have a shamble with us. But at the end of the day, my also point of view is that we should lobby the policy change. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Nyamaro, for taking time out to be with us. We really appreciate your input there, but.
So, thank you.
Muria Zimbabwe, you are hearing there from Joseph Nyamaro. He's a student in one of the higher institution learnings. I hear we have a caller. Let me quickly take our caller. Caller Mtereri, welcome to the program. Caller, hello. Okay, it seems as though our caller is not on the line, Muria Zimbabwe. So let's wrap up namhlanje uhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo. If you're tuning in right now, Muria Zimbabwe, you're tuned into The Connection. I'm your host, Mike Hove. You can always send us a message to WhatsApp. +1 202 465 0318 is the number to text WhatsApp. Ukufitizela lapho ubhala ukuthi like ukuze sibone ukuthi ngempela sisonke kuhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo, and you can also write your comments in the comment section. Makatira chirongwa chedu cheve chidiki Muria Zimbabwe, chirongwa The Connection, muineni Mike Hove.
COVID-19 uzamire bezone mumwe mire wanimita kupapane mumwe kezaima wegone zipo kwe 20 seconds kana kudarika ezai kusaungana ezai kusaenda paruzinji nekuti COVID-19 chirwere chiriko garai muchisanitizer gara unekako kasanitizer nekuti kaneuraya virus chinsama symptoms yevirus kukozera isymptom kupisa muviri isymptom.
All right, Muhle Zimbabwe. Shout out to Mr. Tirarira Ja Signal there with the COVID-19 promo. Gezai Maoko, Gezai Maoko. Gwane loko lamhla mthwakazo muhle Zimbabwe, muhle Muhle Zimbabwe. Let's meet at same time, same place. Lapha kuhlelo lethu labasakhulayo. For those that are looking to catch up with me, ngikhona ku Twitter, kanye la ku Instagram at BigMike3.